Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen meeting, March 18th, 2024. We started out with a couple non-publics, one for a new hire and another one to discuss some things with the fire chief. That brings us to approximately 7:30. Do the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Typically, public comment is on top of the list, but unless someone objects, we could talk about Mildred Hall committee funding for the cemetery mapping, since Betty Straw is here.
Okay, thank you very much. Select persons, Town of Ware, 15 Flanders Memorial Road, Ware, New Hampshire, 03281, March 18th, 2024, from the Mildred Hall Bequest Advisory Committee. At a meeting of the Mildred Hall Bequest Advisory Committee on March 6, 2024, the committee voted to recommend to the Board of Select Persons that $2,500 be expended from the Charles and Ethel Eastman Fund for the purpose of mapping the East Ware, Pine Grove, and Johnson cemeteries, with a stipulation that the work be completed in 2 years and payment is made in thirds at the completion of the work on each cemetery. And those cemeteries are on Buzzell Hill Road, all in a clump. Pine Grove on the left. Now I'm ad-libbing out of my notes, but you people will get a copy of this. Pine Grove's on the left. Johnson, East Ware takes up the full frontage, and Johnson is behind that. And they do need some help. Thank you for your consideration of this request. Elizabeth P. Straw, Chair. And for your records.
Thank you, Betty.
Does anybody have any questions? If not,
About questions, but thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, just a huge
You're
thank you.
so I guess that's it, Sherry.
We,
You taking any questions from the public?
Oh,
Sure.
Andy Fulton, Hemlock Drive. Just a question for Betty. What does the mapping show us? I'm just curious. I'm ignorant of what the cemetery mapping provides.
where people are buried, and the records apparently were not kept up.
Okay.
And so in order to correct that, you have to map it and probe, and it's quite a process. And I think there were two bids on this job, and we took the lower one, or whoever took the lower one. And we're proceeding in hope that things get to rights. And if people want to know where somebody's buried,
Right.
it's good to know. You can come to the town office and
Yep.
find the information.
Excellent. Thank you.
You're welcome.
yeah, for a little bit more, this has been going on at the selectmen level for a couple of years, I guess predating all of us. And individual selectmen, or a couple of selectmen, go out and were probing individual graves before people could be buried. And so we talked as a board about, hey, can we do a mapping of, update the paperwork that we have in the town offices, because it was kind of out of date, and we were updating it by hand. So some of that was just a matter of, like I did it with Ricky, sort of, we're doing it for family X, and we go out there, and usually it's talking to Naomi on a Saturday, and she's up in her office and texting back and forth, sending pictures. So this should give us an up-to-date map that, if that task still needs to be done, or whoever's doing that can take that out there in the field, see exactly as it should be, and make sure that's done sort of properly. And then Selectman Burdick suggested, hey, we did these bids, why don't we, I think it was in the middle of winter, so we weren't moving forward anyway. she said, why don't we ask Mildred Hall, and started that process, and here we are. There,
Yep, that sounds
I don't
like.
know if anybody cared about any of that, but there you go.
Do we need a motion to accept the,
You can, you had to just have it discussed
Okay.
at the meeting, which she's done in this letter, we'll do the same, Sale in this conversation, we do the same.
wonderful.
Well, thank you very much for
Very
coming
much.
out tonight.
Thank
It's very, very good to
Thank
see
you
you.
very much. Public comment.
Neil Kirk, Mount Dearborn Road. Congratulations to those who were elected, and good luck to the board. I'm glad I'm not sitting on your side of the table. I have a couple of suggestions that I'd like to bring to your attention. First, with respect to the fire department, now that it's within your purview, I would hope that you would set up some sort of a committee to advise you on what and how that department should be run. There are many people in this town with a lot of expertise on this matter, including a former selectman. So you should get some really good people to do this. An advisory committee is always helpful when you're making some very basic policy decisions. The second thing I'd like to bring to your attention is the East Ware lot and the conservation easement that's supposed to go on that. This town needs to have that resolved, and I hope that the Board of Selectmen will do their part as the owners of the land to facilitate whatever decisions are made by the Conservation Commission, so that the town can move forward onto some other issues. We've had a vote. The results are well known. It's clear that the selectmen have a role to play in this, and I would ask that you do that expeditiously. We don't need to wait another 10 years. Thank you.
Thanks, Neil. Tom?
I just noticed on your agenda for tonight that.
Could
you'll
you
be
state your
talking
name
about-
for the record, please, Tom?
That you'll be talking about meeting times and schedule them in the future. And a concern that I've had kind of lingering in the back of my mind is that the only difference between the agenda when you have a work session and when you have a regular meeting has been that you've eliminated public comment on the work sessions. Otherwise, you do the manifest, you have department heads report, and so forth. So I just suggest that your meetings all include public comment. It can get a little irritating at times, I know, but unless it's a public hearing, it's the only time you're going to hear from the public in person is through public comment. So whether you stick with work sessions or you just go to what you determine to be regular meetings, I would encourage you to have public comment in all cases. Thank
Could
you.
you state your name, just for the record?
Pardon me?
Could you just state your name for the record?
Just a minute, let me think. Yeah, Tom Clow, 125 Concord Stage Road.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Kyle Parker, I just want to thank you all in advance for the time you're going to put in the next year. I know it is a lot more than just the Mondays. There are other meetings and things you guys do. But thank you for the time that you're all going to put in.
Thank you.
Dan Wandell, Craney Hill Road. Wanted to echo some previous comments. Again, thank you for the board, the new board, and welcome to everyone coming in and putting the time in. Also wanted to echo a previous comment around the East Road, development. I would urge the selectmen and the role that it plays within that, within the decisions made around, that area, to provide or help lead the town in a direction that would provide further clarity around what that site is proposed to contain. There have been admittedly anecdotally, comments and sort of conversation around that property around specifically what sort of the term ball field actually means. Are we talking about a single baseball field? Are we talking about, a sports complex? Are we talking about a full recreation center? I would ask the selectmen, I would ask, further those in support of, developing on that land to provide, specific cost analysis, provide specific utilization, provide specific timelines. I think the town deserves to understand sort of what happened in terms of the vote last week, as well as, its ramifications, and then ultimately what that vote and what the result means in a tangible way. Even for folks who have had a vested interest in understanding what, that development, means in, sort of, politically and legislatively, moving forward again to echo a previous comment. I do think we need an expeditious understanding of what the site is, designed to be. If the question of the hayfield utilization versus the gravel pit utilization has actually been answered, and I would ask, the selectmen to fully understand and appreciate and then communicate, what that development actually means in a tangible way. So, thank you.
Danny Jean Stewart, Center Brook Lane. Thanks for giving us the opportunity to speak, and good luck in your next year of service. I would encourage you to put in place the conservation easement that was intended to be put in place in 2013. I have a question about the other thing that was voted on, and from the language, I couldn't tell if we voted to vote to tell you to do something. In other words, do we have to have a special vote? Or does that wording need to be worded as a declarative and put on next year's warrant? In other words, to word it as direct select board to direct conservation, as opposed to see if we'll vote to X, Y, Z. That language was confusing to me, and again, I still don't know if we voted to have another vote or if we voted to do. I would hope that the original agreement, the original conservation agreement, and that easement would be honored from 2013. That's all I have to say. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Jackie Pratt, Winter Road. Just want to say congratulations. I have to agree with Tom. I do like the public comment, and I do hope with the new board that you guys will honor that and continue that, because after helping my husband campaign, I've seen both sides of this, and I realize how much, to be able to be seated there, you relied on us. You needed us for the vote. You needed us to do sign waves for you, to put signs in your yard. At the very least, I don't want to have somebody else have to go through what we did for the last 3 years. It shouldn't have taken that long to get an answer. We still don't really have one. We've gone through this, I think is now the 4th set of board members, 3 building inspectors, a code enforcer, now to be a 4th building inspector. And honestly, it was just negligent. And it shouldn't have taken that long to get an answer. And as a taxpayer, I don't understand the difficulty when you ask about ordinances or laws, why it would take that long to have somebody respond to you. And I don't know, I just don't agree with it, and I just hope that going forward, you guys just appreciate the people that do take the time to show up at these meetings and speak. And also, if you notice that people keep coming to you time and time again, one thing that I found unfortunate with us is we really don't know a lot about town politics, so we didn't understand that in order to get them to answer you, you need to be on the agenda. it was only because somebody felt so incredibly sorry for us, because we kept showing up to get answers, that they told us the only way they're going to answer you is to get on the agenda, which we did try to do. And then that took, I think, 6 months to get an answer. And we were told if it was on lawyer letterhead, it would make it more pronounced, and didn't. That still took 6 months, and we didn't even get the answer. But it stalled us for 6 months. So I just want to say that, like I said, I appreciate you guys putting in the time and effort, but I do hope that going forward, you do understand that you're seated there because of the people behind you. And, you know, I know sometimes you can't help us, but at least let us know you can't, or give us some type of material somewhere to go to find the answer. That's all we're asking for. Thank you.
Anybody else?
Too slow.
Oh,
Sorry about that. Andy Fulton, Hemlock Drive. Selectman Drury, Selectman Pratt, welcome. Look forward to working with you. We have a lot of things that come from conservation, involve conservation, that we need to work through together, and I think we've got a good opportunity to do that going forward. To that end, we're going to need to iron some things out, just as, you know, how best to make that work in the, you know, communications, agenda-wise. I wasn't sent here by the Conservation Commission tonight with a request or with something formal, but just about any week, anytime you guys meet, there might be something that's pertinent to your business that comes through or involves conservation. Some of those things we know about, and some of those things surprise us, so going forward, I just want to limit any surprises, you know, through better communications, and you know, if there's a formula that might work better than anything done in the past, then I'm ears to listen to that. Whether it's, you know, better use of phone calls, or timing on requests. We just have a lot of good overlap, and I think we can best serve the town when we purposefully set up expectation and mechanisms that allows that work to be well understood, and you know what we're doing, we know what you're doing, and most of the time, most things we can work out better working together on them. Certainly different roles, but glad you're all here, appreciate each one of you, and look forward to figuring it out going forward.
oh, thanks, Andy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Andy.
Sorry, Danny Jean Stewart, Centerbrook, Aging Brain. The question as to whether we would vote, the town, to see if the town would vote to study limiting volunteer, length of appointments, term limits for volunteers on select board appointed positions. I still can't tell if we voted to vote for a study or if we voted to vote for a study. But my question is, if the language actually says we voted for a study, who's going to do it and who's going to pay for it? Those would be two questions on my mind going forward. Who and where's the money coming from? Thanks.
I'll make it quick. Tom Flaherty, Sunrise Lane. I'm not going to tell you guys how to do your job. You all know how to do that. But one suggestion that comes to mind from discussions that I've heard over the past few months, and in my line of work anyways, and I'm sure other people have different versions of this, we have something called a JIRA board. And a JIRA board is basically the top issues of the things that we're handling as a team. And we track those and we prioritize those. And if something hangs on that board for too long, there's a reason for that we got to resolve. We made a point to put it on the board so that we could tackle it and address it. I don't know if boards in the past have done anything like this. I'm sure, Benji, in your line, you guys have boards of issues to track and maintenance and things like that. Same kind of idea. It's just good management style, and I think that's something that prior boards, I don't think have done. Things have fallen off the table and sometimes get lost. And I think back to maybe some of Jackie's comments. So, you know, however you implement that, I think that's a good management practice that I think might help lose track of issues in the future. So, thank you.
All right. Department head committee items. Recognize anybody from Parks to, for an appointment.
Shelby's here.
Shelby here. All right.
I can speak to it a little bit.
Okay, you have say on,
Yes.
step up here if you want.
Shelby O'Donnell, Clark Mill Road.
Do you want me to intro?
Sure.
Okay. So,
Or-
yeah, I guess a park meeting 2-3 weeks ago now. Not the most recent park meeting, but the one before that. Park had got together a couple of applicants who were interested in joining. And that was Shelby and Matt Beeler, who the board approved last week. I understand you were sick and couldn't make it last week.
That's correct, yes.
so,
You would not have wanted me here.
So glad you could make it today. We talked about it last week and said, let's just postpone.
Yep.
We didn't want to appoint you without you here, so. And
Okay.
there was not a park meeting between our meeting last week and today, so.
Yeah, there's one Wednesday.
Yeah.
So what makes you interested in joining?
So I am, as of this past fall, an empty nester. And I have been trying to give back to the community to keep myself busy and happy and involved, and not sad that my daughter is no longer with me. So, and also my time opened up a lot because I'm not doing those things that took so much time as a mom. So my evenings after work are open. So I've been coaching. I actually coached Salem's daughter and his wife was my assistant coach in the fall for first and second grade soccer. And then I coached fifth grade basketball in the winter. And now I'm assistant coaching lacrosse. And so I like recreation and I, there was a need, so,
Good.
there you go.
Thank you.
Lucy's very excited for soccer next year.
Oh, good, I love her.
Anybody else have any questions? No. What's that?
You have to make a motion.
Did anyone else have any questions?
Yeah, we're not quite done yet.
Okay, sorry.
We did Matt for 1 year, right? And we're gonna do the same thing. We'll do a 1-year appointment, because there's still the ongoing bylaws, shaking all the, getting everybody synced up, because it's supposed to be, staggered terms. So, yeah, I guess I'll make a motion that we appoint Shelby O'Donnell to Parks and Rec with a term ending in March 2025.
Second. All in favor?
Yes?
Yes?
Yes.
Opposed, abstention? All right, we just gives,
Okay, so you have to, he's gonna swear you in right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, just a few words at a time. That's the swearing in. He's not gonna read the whole paragraph at once, that's what I just wanted to tell him.
say after me. I, Shelby O'Donnell,
I, Shelby O'Donnell,
do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially
and affirm that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform all duties incumbent upon me
discharge and perform all
Duties.
duties incumbent upon me
as Parks and Recreation Commissioner
as Parks and Recreation Commissioner
for a term of 1 year,
for a term of 1 year,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeable to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of this Constitution
of this Constitution
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire,
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome aboard. Thank you.
She has to sign. Yeah,
Do we have to sign?
yeah, you guys will place it down, so you sign it.
You don't need my address.
I know where you are.
Yeah.
It's on here.
Congratulations, Shelby.
I guess I'd just take a second to recognize James Drury and David Pratt for being our new select board members, and Janice Matthews as being really elected for their first time, but re-entering the board. If either one of you would like to be sworn in at this level or have a picture of the family member, we can take a quick second. I know you guys already been sworn officially, so I just want to offer that up if you have a wife or somebody in the crowd you want a picture with.
We're good.
All right, good enough. Yeah, I was gonna do it down here, but
Just
yeah.
just making sure.
Yep. Well, the next couple things on the agenda, I guess I'll ask just you guys. We get to discuss the summer schedule and then our roles. But do we want to move that to the bottom, so we ain't switching chairs in the middle of the meeting if we end up voting people in different spots or not? I don't care one way or the other. Just we'd have to move all our junk
Yeah.
around, you know what I mean?
Very last thing on the way out.
So, that works for everybody else. We'll just put the selected chair and vice chair at the bottom, if that works for you guys.
Sure.
Works for me.
So I guess we'll do the manifest. That's quick and easy. I move that we order the treasurer to sign the payroll and accounts payable checks dated March 21st, 2024, as included in the following manifest. Payroll manifest, $78,543.94 for weekly payroll. Accounts payable manifest, $481,118.99. John Stark accounts payable manifest, $250,000. Ware School account payable manifest, $600,000. Do I have a second?
Second,
All in favor?
yes.
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 Opposed? Abstentions?
Minutes went out late. I don't know if you wanna, had time to do them or you wanna wait. Cause there's only 3 of you that are here.
I skimmed them. I saw one thing, but
I'll do them, you know, put them on hold till next time.
Did you get a chance to look at them?
I just breezed through them, but, I didn't,
I only saw one correction.
yeah, maybe
You
the
only
same
saw one
It was, I didn't even write it down. Cause I thought we
you have it,
might.
Janice?
It
You guys feel
was
comfortable, we can do them and get them on.
where Eileen had asked about the non-public, and Ricky responded that the minutes were sealed. They were actually unsealed.
It's the same fix I had.
It's line 41.
41?
There we go. I'll move that we accept the March 11th minutes as amended.
Second?
In favor?
Yes.
Abstentions?
Yes.
2, you abstained as well?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a few things, I guess, a couple things under correspondence, other business we need to, we have a couple hires to do. Guess we can do that next. One of the non-publics was with DPW director, had pertained to hiring a new truck driver for the highway department. Logan Bannister, he was with us before, and he had to depart us for a short time, for family reasons, and he's interested in coming back. So I move that we hire Logan Bannister as a truck driver for the DPW. His start date will be Friday, March 22nd, 2024, for starting pay of $21.85 per hour.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Abstain? Against? All right. And another, what do you want to call it, isn't a hire, I don't know if you want to call it a promotion, but.
Temporary reassignment.
Temporary reassignment, I suppose, is, we moved Matt McLean to an interim or temporary transfer station foreman. We are going to get a replacement as quickly as possible as we promised him. But until then, he's gonna help us fill a vacant role at the transfer station. So I move that we pay Matthew McLean, starting pay of $30 an hour. It'll be retro to Tuesday, March 12th, 2024. And he will be, I guess, the interim transfer station foreman, if everyone's okay with that term.
Second.
All in favor?
Until a replacement is found.
Until
for
replacement
what
is
it's worth.
found.
And he has an opportunity to train him up.
Yep. So, we have a second. All in favor?
Yes.
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 Yes. Opposed, abstentions? I'm gonna take that opportunity to just make a quick comment, I guess, on this. We chose to send Matt back up there. There was a shortfall, has been a shortfall in the revolving fund at the transfer station. The board has been aware of it. We've been trying to do our best to research reasons why there was the shortfall. Our belief is that there was just a lack of adequate charging for pay items. Revolving fund, for anybody that doesn't understand it, is when you take something that we charge you to get rid of, we collect that money and that we use that to directly offset the cost of that, which is to pay the next vendor to take that item and to pay the trucking if there's any trucking involved. So we try to, the only thing your tax dollar operates at the transfer station, is personnel and equipment and trash disposal. But if you get rid of demolition or a tire or a propane tank or something like that, you pay the transfer station takes that and pays the disposal. And there's very little to no profit to that. So we just don't believe the person that was in that role was charging for all the items or enough for the items. And so we have asked him to leave, and Matt's gonna fill that role as he has a lot of experience up there, and hopefully he can train the new person when we hire someone. So it's about all as deep as I feel comfortable going in there. There was, to our knowledge, there was no actual theft of money or theft of anything up there. There wasn't, I saw Facebook go crazy this weekend. Everybody knows how much Benji Knapp loves Facebook chatter, but it wasn't $26,000 worth of cash stolen. It just was deficiency and not charging enough, so. If everyone else is okay with that, unless they want to add, we'll just soon put that to bed for tonight. No? Thank you. Those are my three things for that? I feel like there was something else for that, other business.
I gave you a 3-page letter, a report. If you wanna.
Yes, you did. Let me move on to your report, right? But we don't have any other things I'm supposed to bring up, do we? Before your administrator report, Naomi?
No, I just wanna make sure we did Matt.
What's that?
I just wanna make sure you took care of Matt and.
Yeah, no, and I want to do your administrative report. I just want to make sure there wasn't, I've already got it tangled up in a pile of papers here, but, okay.
I guess the only other things I wrote down for other business, a couple people brought them up, but what are the next steps for East Road and for the term limit study? I would, I don't know about proposed, but maybe a logical next step is meeting with, like have the board have a non-meeting with town council on one or both of those. I didn't put a lot of time into that, but that's the first thing I came up with.
I think that's a great first step, Salem. Selectman Bloom, I agree.
Yeah, because the way those articles come out, especially one of them being a petition article, I don't know that we really had a whole lot to say. So I think giving the attorney the outcome of the vote and getting a legal opinion, I mean,
Yeah, we got
We
an
don't know
off-the-cuff
any more
response
than-
out deliberative, but it'd be good to get, like, okay, like you say, the vote's finalized, where are we going? And what does that actually mean?
We were certainly hoping for more of a definitive outcome of votes, but it didn't happen, so we will.
So you suggesting to have a non-meeting to discuss it? Because she did offer, if you remember, she offered to put everybody in the room and mediate as to what everybody's concerns were.
Well, but that was,
Yeah, I think that's probably something that
beyond
may
that?
come out of the
Right.
meeting, but I would like to have a non-meeting
yeah, the
first.
first step is us to understand as, hopefully make us stronger mediators with her.
And you have to sign under the date because you swore her in.
This was a print as well, so you got it.
So we'll schedule a non-meeting on an off night, obviously.
Yeah. Everybody?
So what happens with the balance of the warrant articles? Is there other actions that gotta be set for everything, or make sure that they get put in place?
There are a few, if, at least one other one. I think Danny Jean mentioned this earlier about the study. We're gonna have to figure out something to do with that. I definitely think personally that dealing with the fire department and the East Road and that, comes before the study, but,
And you brought up the building inspector.
Yeah.
Right there with the fire department.
yeah.
To me, you know, the personnel was
Yeah.
first, and then I think East Road would try to start getting some answers. I mean, it's not that we, for lack of effort before the before vote, but, we definitely need to address it. Personally, I'd like to square away how we're gonna handle the fire department, and this building season's coming and we have a direction we can go with that, and I think there's some options we can do with the building inspector, and we need to figure out what that is sooner or later, and
Yeah, so
Get put
in front of you as well, I put together an advertisement, and you'd asked me for the job description, and back when we hired a part-timer, we changed the job description for the building inspector back to part-time and removed any code enforcement, and so what I provided you was a sample job description advertisement in color. I used the one we had before, and then attached to that, I put the part-time building inspector job description, which I still kept the ones that we whittled up before, if you guys want those too. You would ask me to get them off the listserv, so I provided them off the listserv, and then we whittled up to make the job description that you have there for part-time. So I can
one.
still scan those and share them, because I scribbled on some of them, but some of them were building inspector / code enforcement, and they were full-time, some were part-time, some had different things. So I did save those from the last time when we did produce that job description, so if you want, I could search new ones, because there may be other towns that I get this time around. That's through the listserv.
So I guess while we're on that subject, didn't know how far we'd go down the trail tonight, but we got in front of us is everybody interested in having it building inspector / code enforcer? I as one vote would say yes. We both are open, and I think one person couldn't do it. One person has done it in the past.
Yeah, Chip did it before.
And is the volume still where you believe one person can handle both?
I mean, you had two part-timers doing it before.
Right,
You had a
what's that,
part-time building and a
2 30-hour
part-time
or 2
220.
20-hour?
You had 225s.
25.
Because the fire chief did a certain amount, right?
The fire chief does some health inspections with the health officer, but that's not part of that job.
Right, okay.
That's Katie's health officer, so she goes and does daycares and schools with the fire chief.
Okay. I mean,
To answer your question, yeah, I think it's worth pursuing a combined role.
I do as well.
Me too.
So would you like me to get you some newer job descriptions, because those are probably a year old that I have from the listserv? Do you want me to share what I had? What would you like me to do? Because all I do is ask the listserv and I get them back.
I don't think it's a bad thing, since you already have the ones we already had, at least send them out.
Sure.
So they can see them, but it would be, I think it's reasonable what you're asking, maybe ask for, anybody with a combined rating.
Yep.
Yeah, 'cause I wouldn't mind getting to a point next meeting to having something so we can get it sent out, you know.
So the amount that, the dollar amount, what we did is in making the article to full-time, the cost included, that person would be at $30 an hour. It would have all the costs to the retirement, and it had all the costs for a family plan. You may find a single person, which
Sure.
then you won't have that much money spent. But that was worst case when Beth figured it, but it was figured for the $30 an hour.
Okay.
So that's why I put the dollar amount there.
It seems like that might be.
I have had a lot of
Advertising to
calls
people.
inquiring, waiting for the
I was really hoping it
advertisement.
passed. I really hopeful. I know we've been,
A lot of them were looking for full-time.
yep, sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, we thought that was one of the reasons we couldn't really get anybody before, is because we weren't offering full-time. When we tried to hire Kyle a week or two ago, we told him that we didn't want him doing any inspections until he was actually recertified. So I do think that needs to be part of whatever job description we
Right,
do come
so-
up with.
If we can move fairly quickly, there is certification class April 8th and 9th.
It is quick.
Yeah.
That is quick. It's held in Portsmouth. I was shipped it from the Building Officials Association. It's quick, yes, I understand that.
Still.
And the cost is $1,100 to
Don't know if
certify.
we'll make it, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I don't wanna get too far off
Yeah.
the actual subject, but something I've been trying to do a retrospective of the last year, and in my opinion, we got bogged down a few times on, like, we as a board got together and tried to do live edits like 3-4 weeks in a row.
Right.
And I think where we were more productive was somebody, take a first stab at it and send that out to everybody else and say, okay, here's the first draft, and then hack it up and move it around, rather than everybody try and come up with a first draft live together. So if we're moving quickly, that's what I would propose. I'm not.
So we
I'd
have
like
an
to
old,
volunteer.
we have an old full-time one that we had before. I could see if that, I mean, you had that position before and then you moved it to part-time. So you have an old job description of a full-time building inspector / code enforcement that may just need just minor things.
I'd like to see that. I'd hate, exactly what you said, I'd hate for that, for this. I mean, for one, I think it was unproductive, but for two, we really want to get going on this, catch somebody that might be interested in building season starting now, so.
And if we have a first draft from a couple of years ago already, it'd be worthwhile as a starting.
It's dated,
Yeah,
but
but it's a good starting point, probably.
If somebody wants to take that, then make a couple edits, like Salem said, and we can discuss it next meeting.
Yeah.
Is anybody interested in taking that task?
Sure.
James?
And I don't know if you can see, we've got a hand raised in the audience, or.
Yeah, I mean, this really is kind of for us, but
Yeah.
is it something quick?
I'm just wondering whether I might take a quick look at the description you're considering?
Well, we don't have finalized yet. We don't know exactly what we got, but yes, next week. How's that?
So I'll ship it all to you, but you'll.
We
take
haven't
on
read
the-
it all the way through, Andy, so I don't know if this is what we're gonna do.
Y'all might not recall, maybe somebody does, but years ago, I'm sorry, and I don't mean to interrupt you guys, but I do, I suppose. Years ago, Conservation Commission sent Chip to wetlands class. So if you're talking about code enforcement, that was something that we actually funded because we thought it was in the town's interest.
Okay.
If you're combining roles, I don't know whether that covers anything like that, but I think it did make
Well,
a
certainly-
prior employee a better asset for the town. We felt like he had certainly a better handle on
Certainly
that.
would never be against more certifications in schooling, for sure.
So just remembering something we did
Okay,
15 years ago or so.
thank you.
Andy, what's the benefit?
Pardon?
What's the benefit? I got a general picture of why, but
It's an awareness, excuse me, the potential benefit would be have somebody who's on building site who's actually had some studies on identifying, well, is this likely wetland or not determining it, not doing mapping, but as an educated town official who, would be out on job sites seeing things that, we wouldn't as a commission when looking at potential, town natural resource concerns. It's just bringing an education level up. We thought it was beneficial, so we funded it out of the conservation fund. And it helped our conversations occasionally with Chip. I think he was also probably doing some other jobs, perhaps even beyond the two that were mentioned, so.
I mean, you consider an upfront benefit as well. If there's problems, plans and lots, and being able to identify something early.
Yeah, it's just a value, potentially a value added. I can't say, for sure, here was an instance where having this training, solved a problem, but, I think it could be that there were, an awareness level that was a little bit higher that maybe headed off some concerns that we never needed to find out about as a problem because they were recognized, and
Yep.
in-stream corrections, I think, are much preferred to after-the-fact objections.
Yep,
Thank you.
thanks.
And so are you looking at the job, like the actual job rec and the description? Because I guess we spent a lot of time on both those independently over the last year. We'd do like a job rec and then so the job description usually first and then the job rec that got posted. So what was everybody thinking?
So what we posted was that colorful one is what we posted the last time.
Yep. I guess what I'm getting at is what are we signing James up for?
I would think,
I guess
I
I
would-
understood the job description, but
yeah, I would
just wanna
think,
say it.
I agree, I would think that once we're happy with the job description, that I don't see nothing wrong with this, getting it out there, so I don't think we need to reinvent the wheel too bad on
Yep.
it. I think we're pretty close. If she sends you what we used to have and send you what we drew up, and but no reason, if there's other people interested in looking at it, there's no reason a couple of you couldn't look at it. It's just, I, for one member, would like to not roll it around the room for 4 meetings,
Yeah, what's the goal? Get this posted
I'd like,
by next
I'd
week?
like to give her okay to post it next week, next meeting. I mean, does anybody think that, what do you think, Janice? You think
That would
that's
give
out
us-
of?
I think that's doable. I would caution against doing it tonight only because
Oh,
it
definitely not
says,
tonight.
if you want the job description.
No, definitely not tonight, but
Yeah.
I'd like to get a place where we could
No,
ask
I-
Naomi to post it next
yeah,
week,
I
or
would-
next meeting.
Yeah,
depending on-
training is on April 11th. That would give us like roughly a week.
Yeah, but that probably won't happen,
Two
unfortunately.
weeks.
'cause
2 weeks, but yeah.
If we get it posted and hired, I don't know if
Yeah.
that'd happen.
Yeah. Unlikely, but you never know.
Right. We can shoot for
Better
it.
than letting it drag out.
Right. Okay. Anybody got anything else on correspondence or business, other business?
I did have 2 correspondents that came in. One was a phone call. Someone wanted to know what the fire department SUV policy is for personal use. I told them that I would bring this to the board, but just generally speaking, we hadn't yet delved into fire department policy, and we would be doing that very soon. He said that he thought that he saw the police SUV, excuse me, the fire department SUV, not the police, the fire department SUV, over at a doctor's office in Manchester, Wednesday, March 6th. So I told him we'd check into that and discuss it in public comment here as appropriate. I had a second one, someone wanting to know how do we audit our town? I don't know if this stems from the issues that we've been having at the transfer station. I'll read it. How do we audit our town and make sure all the money goes to the right spots and see how much is in the kitty? For example, in COVID years, there were no school buses and electricity for schools. Where is that money? Last year, the roads weren't cleaned and the mowed, so where is that money? Town is down on people into DPW, so where is that money? Where's the money from the DPW when the dude stole $100K worth of fuel? This town needs an audit done with its citizens there to prove that the town needs more taxes. This is an outrage. So there's a lot in there. Some of it I think is extremely old. I don't know anything about a dude stealing $100K worth of fuel.
Yeah.
I know that at one point, many years ago, there was something with the clicker, the counter on the fuel not being correct, but I don't know any of that. My suggestion would be perhaps we get a overview of what the audits are from Beth, and maybe she
Yeah,
can
I
bring that
mean,
to a future meeting so
I
that,
mean, we get audited every year.
Right.
We have Plodzik and Sanderson this year, last year.
Because we signed for that last year.
Yeah, you guys signed for it, you
Is that
get a
annual?
financial report.
Yeah. So maybe it would be good just to have a public brief on what the audits are so that everybody understands that.
Yeah, that's fine, and
Yeah, and as far as, I mean, it's two different sides of the street. We don't know what the school does with
Right.
theirs, so that question would have to go back to the school part.
Yeah, I haven't had any communication back with this gentleman who sent me this because
Okay,
I wanted to
sure.
bring it here.
Yeah, no,
So,
understandable.
I can certainly tell him that we are
I think that
gonna do a
all the
public
money comes
overview.
here, so I think
Yeah.
it's partially
But if he
thought
wants
that it's here. Yeah.
specific accounting what the school does, he'd have to contact the school.
SAU, yeah, sure.
Okay, I'll do that.
yeah, I think that stemmed the conversation. Everybody's always welcome to, that's what we're here for, is to ask, but, I mean, I guess the only thing I would ask of anybody that does have questions is come ask first before there's allocations thrown out. There was stuff thrown out that's the 100K fuel for one, that's false.
Yeah, well, I mean,
the-
he is coming to us and asking,
Okay.
so.
Yeah, I-
This was an email directly to
Sure.
me, so.
But
it
just
wasn't a
to say they
Facebook
didn't
post.
know where the DPW extra money went, well, we had about,
$500,000 got returned.
yeah, we had lots of meetings explaining that throughout the course of budget season, so.
We spent a lot of time last year robbing Peter to pay Paul, saying, well, we have money left over from not having people on payroll, so we can take that money and,
I guess what I was trying to say is not to discourage questions, but it is, we have explained it, I guess, so. Apologize if you didn't get it, and we can try to explain it again, but we do put that information out when we create our budgets. It's on the paper, and people have the opportunity to get up there in public hearing and town meeting to ask why there was 50 grand left over in somebody's payroll budget, or you didn't mull where'd the money go. We have those opportunities. We're not hiding anything, so.
And I think in the town report, there's some statement or some report from the auditor as well.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Yeah, I forgot about that being in there.
was that a one-year audit agreement?
I think we do 3,
Okay.
because you get one person to come in, and then next year you find someone
Yeah.
else, and I think we've always done it for 3. We had Vashon Kluke for a few years, and we put it out, and we had, I just had it, Melanson Heath. We did them for 3, and then we put it out this time. We did Plodzik Sanderson, because that's what Beth brought to you. You guys all got their
Yep.
proposals. Yeah. And she recommended for certain reasons why we changed. But that's information that we can provide for sure. Because you all got a copy of the audit when it was done.
Yeah, but if she could provide in the public session, just an overview of what gets audited and
Yeah,
how it happens, and
absolutely.
that would be, I think, helpful to the citizens.
Yeah. I'll just have her, she can do that.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Those are the only 2 correspondents I had, Benji.
All right, anybody else?
Just what are we gonna do about, oh, never mind, we already did that. We're gonna talk to town council. Yeah, the term limit study, same thing.
Okay.
Just
I
a
s-
couple things on the report. I'm sorry, I didn't mean
I
to.
just had a few things that I kind of jotted down over the last week, and things that I'm not sure if are in place or we could possibly talk about or consider putting in place. I know, setting the actions for the warrant articles, I know we briefly talked about that. Reviewing building department decision-making process for issuing permits. That's kind of why your comments kind of caught my ear. Review flow down of zoning changes, court decisions affecting zoning ordinances. Probably keep somewhere around what Tom was saying, keeping a running action item list so we know what actions were assigned at this meeting. And we keep some type of status, so we understand when they were taken, when they're finished. How do we align the boards for information flow down? Andy just brought that up, and I've also heard that on the planning board. Naomi had spoken with Pastor Stockhouse regarding that. Creating goals, maybe not large goals, but a few goals that we're all kind of looking to achieve as a group. Ways to monitor how that's going. Monthly report outs or bullet items of the board businesses by ex officio or Naomi. succession plans. I don't know if anything exists currently, but there's some kind of important positions in the town that want to make sure that there's some type of backup behind that. You know, do we have a list of all open positions and where those that, you know, we're currently advertising for either employees or boards, commissions? I know there's some defunct boards that probably no one really hears about or cares about anymore. But it'd be nice to have all the information if it doesn't exist already. I heard last week, Richard Butt had mentioned that at one point there was an organizational chart. Be kind of nice to know who reports to who and, you know, what that structure actually is. Understand the current complaint reporting system, develop some type of monitoring system so we know when the complaints come in, when the complaints get answered, if they get answered. Monitor the responsiveness, try to develop a time frame that we want to see those resolved. Develop some type of categorical assignment to the complaint so we can understand what the impact, if there's multiple, you know, kind of Pareto out what our problems are, and what we need to really look at to solve. Develop some type of friendly rotational or designated visits to departments or the employees. You know, it's nice every now and then for them to see someone come by and say hi. And then review our public comment procedure. I know by law we don't bear any responsibility other than to hear the comment, but over the last year, I know after or at the end of the meeting, there's been some discussion on public comments. I'd like to see that expand and maybe possibly, you know, build some type of process to let people know if it's that big of an issue that they can come get on an agenda and discuss things with us. Just a few things that I set out, nothing we have to work on tonight, but I think...
Could you share that with all of us?
Yeah,
I tried
absolutely.
to jot them down fast.
Yeah.
Nope, I will, I'll email that out to you.
No, I think some of them are
Thank
good
you.
points. I think we do have a couple of those in place, but, yeah, it was, if we get it, I was
Yeah.
gonna try to write, it went too fast for me.
And
to
what I
get
have, I
everything
can
up.
send to everybody, because
Sure,
I do have
yeah.
an organizational chart. We did it years ago.
Yep.
Yeah, there's some, we can do the, obviously Beth could do the list of positions open.
Yep.
It's pretty simple, but yeah, if you, I mean, I was quickly, but.
Yeah, no, I'll forward that to you tonight.
Okay, great,
It
thank
all
you.
sounded good. The first thing that came to mind was Naomi probably has half of that somewhere. Half of it may not exist, and we should work on it, but.
Right. It'd be nice to
Yeah.
sift it back up to the
Um,
top.
Yeah, it's just sitting down and prioritizing it because
Right.
Fire and East Road are gonna have to hit hard.
We don't have a succession plan. I think that was mentioned.
Hmm.
We don't have a succession plan.
Yep.
I know Maureen's gonna retire too. This is,
Right.
this was her last town meeting, so. I mean, we hope that's an elected official, but she's,
Right,
I think, you know, so we have to think about that too.
yep, absolutely.
And so to kind of start answering some of your questions and to talk about rotation a bit, I'd highly recommend, if you haven't already, just drop it in on the departments early. I thought that was pretty beneficial. When I first started, I did that and then kind of tapered off. At least, you know, if you haven't seen the buildings, meet the people, department heads, and if, you know, people that work down there. I'm not saying, you know, go bug them all day, every day, but just,
No.
just, you know, try and put faces and names, so that when we start talking about things that need doing, you know, we can talk about Matt.
Yeah.
It's good to know, like, who Matt is,
Right.
but not get in the way of all that.
As far as public comment, I agree if we do go every other way, we haven't discussed that yet, but it should be every week, every time, meeting then, you know, shouldn't go a month without it. We try not to engage a ton unless we know the answer for sure when a lot of times somebody's up there and they're upset and we don't want to give a wrong answer, that make them more upset next time, but I think a lot of the time we're good about right now, and certainly sometimes we don't, but we could try harder. I think if it was something we could answer as one of us five, we try to get it by the end of the night or the next meeting usually. A lot of the times it meant attorney opinions and stuff, which isn't something we give, but
Yeah,
We certainly want to hear from the, hear from the public and feel like that you're being heard. It's just, we don't know that you're gonna come up and talk about. We want to have the right information, or you're gonna be madder the next time, so.
I was gonna make that point on the end of, like, you might have somebody who spent a week studying something, and they know their topic forward and backward, and they come to us and talk for 5 minutes, and like, it's not something we know anything about. So-
Years ago, I know, there's public comments went back and forth. Must be a
We
dozen
used to have
different.
two. You used to
have
put one at the
two.
beginning, one at the end.
And then there was one board that had them only at the end, and you only commented on what was discussed at that meeting.
Meeting, yeah.
That way you could interact, and not be ambushed,
Mm-hmm.
but not everybody makes every meeting. I don't know if I like that particular style, and some
Yeah,
people
I
don't
would
wanna stay.
be
the whole
against
meeting.
that as the only one. I
What's
mean,
that?
At the end, no.
Yeah, no, that was just one of them, and I thought,
Yeah.
we have a hard time getting everything done the way it is in a timely manner, so two could really drag on. So I think the way we do it now, maybe just making sure that we answer is probably,
Well, just it may, not so much a second, a second public comment, but just a kind of a recap
Sure.
and stuff that we might want to explore.
sure.
And when I got on the board, one of the things I had cautioned all of us on was the fact that, doing the meetings every other week with public comment, we were basically having, exactly like was said earlier, basically having a meeting except for no department heads and no public comment. And if there was a topic that the public wanted to comment on, they were not able to because we did away with public comment during that meeting. And I would like to get back to every meeting having a public comment personally. Unless it is a very
I think we
specific
also
things that
talked
we're
about,
working
for
on.
those that are left, we talked about every meeting, instead of being a work session, we just put on whatever,
Right.
instead
that's-
of putting
just
something
manage
off
the
to a
I
agenda.
work
think why
session.
every other was no public comment was because there was no every other. There was meetings every other week for a long, long time.
Oh,
Then they
yeah.
went to meetings every week,
Actually,
so there
till
was
Salem signed
never
up.
a public
after I
comment
filed.
every week per se, because there wasn't a meeting every week for a while, so. Anyway, those things we can discuss. Anything else?
Can I just hit a few notes on
Yeah,
that?
I was
I'm
gonna
not
go to
read it you.
administrator report,
I'm
yep.
not gonna read it to you. In front of you, I put together 3 RFQs. I'm gonna schedule them for, I put a sticky note on each one, I believe. Yeah, we're gonna meet 3 of them on the 27th. We're gonna do the interviews on the 27th, so that's a separate meeting. But if you've got time to go through them, that's your copies.
The list of questions that are required by
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna
state.
email those, because they came on an email, I meant to. Those were Benji's copies, and he let me copy them for all of you.
Okay.
Parks and Rec, Kristen said she'd take the minute taker,
That's great.
so I don't know if you wanna add that, make a motion or something. She's gonna take Parks and Rec's minutes now, and I did let Pam know as well.
Would, because it's a park budget line.
Okay, you guys
would
can
make
do
the
that on
motion.
Wednesday then? Yeah, because I did tell Pam that she would take it. Today, they had 5 bidders and 3 conservation members go to the pre-bid for the asbestos remediation at the Barden property. The bids are due April 10th and be open at the conservation, so that worked out really well. A lot of it you can read. Building inspector we talked about. Another package of information I have put in front of you is, James and David, there's a bunch of information that I had gotten for legal and RFPs, for engineering. Because this year we're gonna do it, and then I also copied what Janice had sent to everybody. And so you have it, as she kinda made the first round. We do have to put those out to bid this year at some point, so that's another bunch of paper that I had given you. We do have, I gotta respond, we got 2 correspondence. One, believe I forwarded to all of you, which was from the attorney on her client for 55 Winter Road, looking for a response, as well as Sansucci Associates, which had to do with the Eversource abatement, whether we want to go with them or not, because if they're gonna represent us as of April 1st, we're not giving them a lot of time.
And that was recommended by Mitchell.
That was, yeah, Mitchell's kind of keeping things open for us, but at the same time, she asked what we were doing. Sansucci did. And that's for the abatement for Eversource that's going on from 17 to 21. I have that here if you guys want to act on that. Work
think we
session-
should.
Work session items, I do owe those guys the solid waste. We really need to do that.
Yep.
And the permit information that came as a result of our site walk with DES, when we all went up there and looked at the permit and state met with us.
Probably ought to put that on top of things in the next couple.
Yeah, it definitely
no
gets in the
longer
top
than-
5.
I'd say no longer than
Yep.
a month to discuss that, don't you guys think? For the solid waste
Yeah, I need to
permit.
just give these guys to catch up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. Definitely have Jason here. We,
Yep. The cemetery sexton, we've had no applications, that's gonna be, I don't know, we can maybe freshen it up and put it back out, see what happens. It's that or it's you guys taking turns, but I know there's gonna be at least 3 burials right away in April.
Well, I'll need training when we start.
Yep.
I think that's just me at this point. Yeah,
Well,
we may have to
we-
post a meeting
Yeah.
and get
Yeah.
everybody who can out there.
Yeah, and then
Turns.
So the
They're like, what are you
RFP
talking about? Okay, nobody's gonna tell you.
And Mildred Hall obviously provided you with your $2,500, so what I'll do is I'll forward you the information that we got, and we can award that to that gentleman, because the cemeteries aren't open till April 1st anyway, so we can do that for next. And then, I think I'm going to solve the first one, which is we're gonna upgrade the email license so that I'll be able to take from that versus asking everybody. It's just an upgrade. So, this is what they had written to me, that they can upgrade the email license from kiosk to Exchange Plan 1, which allows for PST files, so. This would increase the license by $4 an account, but I think it would then save sending out a monstrous email to all the volunteers to have them gather their information.
And then, I guess then it's just on you to redact everything,
Correct.
which.
Which
that's
I
what it is
have the
now
Adobe
anyway.
to redact, yeah, because it's actually pretty easy, just put in email addresses and things like that, but, yeah.
Is it $8 or $4?
No, there's an $8 license we have to buy for an app,
Okay.
and then it's $4. But I think it's
Okay.
worthwhile because the amount of volunteers, a lot of times they include any and all, so. I do have the information for Jack, I just need to send it to him, Beth sent it to me. We have until April 1st on the Wadley Star and Peters one, and then I got a new one, which I'm gonna look up, that he's looking for the town charter, the oaths of office, the tax identification number. I don't know what accounting and account ledgering is, and a payoff statement. And then he's also filed for a speedy trial in the US court over the eviction, so I'll work with that one, I've
Is there
kinda
a
lost
scope
on
on
that
the
one.
oath of office?
Say that again?
Is there a scope on the oaths of office?
I gotta ask him that, cause that's
Okay.
very broad.
Yeah.
I don't know if he
It's
wants.
like one of them we got last year. It's like we just said, we can't go back to the 1700s. Do you want us, how about whatever we said, 6 months or a
Yeah.
year?
Well, I asked the other, I need to ask him this time frame, because we did on the last one, it was 12 months, remember? Yeah. Legal opinion, I forwarded to all of you. Did you get that, Salem? I think you might have got it twice. I put it at boards and I put it at park.
Yeah, that was a nice surprise.
Yeah, that's regarding your lifeguards, okay. Ethics is meeting Thursday, I haven't worked, there's nothing more actually. At solar, at some point, we do have to go on that, but that's kind of it's at your board level, and we can add it to the list that David has.
Yeah, I think when we do that, we might want to just provide them not with a, their charter, but just some expectations that we have as a board on what it is they're gonna be looking at.
Well, there's also, again, there's several communities that have energy committees, we could come up with bylaws. or-
Yeah, I'm not saying we should come up with their bylaws for them, but just some guidelines.
Well, they have no budget, so they
Right.
can't go spending any money, there's no budget, so.
Yeah, we want you, but we don't want it.
No, I mean, there's a lot of things, and there's a lot of communities that did community power this year on town meeting votes.
Yeah, I had a handful of people reach out to me
That was one
about
of the
that.
things that prompted me to say that, was because some of them were, you had to opt out as opposed to opt in, and, you know, I didn't research it a whole lot, but
Yeah.
that seems backwards to me. I think citizens should opt in, not have to opt out of something.
So I'll ask the question and go back to Sans Souci. What do you want to do with Sans Souci?
Yeah, that's one I had kind of pumped the brakes on just to look through it. I don't have any reason not to. I'm good.
Would you like me to make a motion to enter into a contract agreement with George E. Sansui for the purposes of abatement appeals with Public Service Company of New Hampshire, also known as Eversource Energy or PSNH, for the years 2017 to 2022, at the rate structure provided on page 7 of the agreement dated 9/15/2023.
Second?
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Opposed?
I'm going to abstain on that one. I don't think I know enough about it.
You want to abstain?
Yes.
So just a little backup, we have an ongoing abatement with Eversource over the assessments. And it's,
Here?
17, yep, just, there's 5 signature lines. So it's 2017 to 2021, there's been an abatement filed, so all the towns, we're gonna get together and hire Sans Souci, which is supposed to be the expert on the Eversource issue. I did, when I first got it, I ran it by town council, and most everybody has gone with them. And again, I owe you both that, just so you can see what it entails.
Yeah, I did get the email on it and like,
Okay, all right,
what am I,
okay.
what am I
I
reading?
did send it
here?
already.
Yes.
All right. So that's what we're up against, and
Just a copy.
it made sense to lawyer for us to do
No, it's
that.
just in case you wanted to see it.
Thank you.
Right.
What's this?
Now that we voted, you still gotta sign it.
And I'll take that back when you're done. And then the other, I think I forwarded to you, has to do with 55 Winter Road. Are you going to respond tonight, or what are you gonna do with that?
Well, the question I had was, why does that have to come to this board for action? Why isn't it just a normal building department thing?
I think we had a discussion about what we were gonna do, right?
We don't, did we?
How
No?
long ago?
Well, I forwarded it all to you guys in February.
Yeah, maybe that was the day I was absent.
The first came to you in February. If you're not prepared, we can bring it up to speed. I'm just saying, I forwarded you the email today.
Yeah.
Because she was looking for an answer, but I went back and I'd already forwarded it before, so.
I'm not prepared,
Prepared?
no.
Okay.
But we should commit to
By next
being
week?
prepared, and yeah.
Can you answer why it's us and not the building department?
Well, it came to town council, and she forwarded it to me, asking if the board was gonna respond.
Okay,
That's how it came. It came from attorney to attorney.
okay, thank you.
And then she said to me, are you gonna respond? I said, am I gonna respond? And she said, does the board wanna respond?
Okay,
Because
That makes
she
sense.
can respond, but I think you ought to have some input.
makes sense.
I
Thank you.
suppose we could respond. We're committing to discuss this at our next meeting and finalize a more formal response. Just letting you know, here's our
Yeah.
timeline.
Okay.
Okay. That's fine. I'm gonna witness all you guys. I'm done. I'm just gonna witness you guys' signatures.
One thing I was thinking about the administrator's report and kind of going to what Dave was talking about, it may be helpful, like as you add things to it, to put the date. So then when we hit 2 months from now, it's like,
Yeah.
man, that's been hanging around
Yeah.
since March.
Okay. Do you want the date, if I add something like in the end of the paragraph, so you know when I added it?
I don't
'Cause
have
there
a
are
strong
some things-
preference, but
Yeah,
There's some
whatever
things that
you
have been
hear.
on there. I changed the date at the top, but that doesn't mean it hasn't changed.
yeah, I'm talking like per line.
Okay,
And then if we realize, okay, I won't pick any of them at random because it may be important, and then realize, okay, this is not something we're even gonna talk about this year, so just take it off.
okay.
I'd like to see some updates from just the general departments too, under the town, not necessarily the DPW, police, fire, but what's going on in health?
Okay.
Do they have anything? What's going on in assessing? What's going on in planning? Code enforcement?
That's vacant.
Yeah, but I mean, just in general, you know, what are they dealing with? You know, they have any issues, anything we can help with, anything we need to be aware of. Everything's going great. We just need to stop by and say thank you.
Where are those issues going to now? If something comes into the code enforcement for a complaint or?
Well, the girls try to handle it, or else they call me or send them upstairs. That's where they're going at the moment.
When I went to see Naomi set the schedule here, we talked real briefly about, if we're interested in having a summer schedule, and, because lots of people take vacations in the summer, and, yeah, it has been long Mondays and a few other days other than Monday. So that was one, and the other was meeting times. I know, former Selectman, Hippler couldn't do any earlier than 6:30, kinda was, I think we've done 6:30 for a long time, but. we
Was
just thought-
7.
Was it 7? Yeah.
And then we back to 6:30, that's the earliest you
I
can
think
do
it's
it.
late for everybody, but I mean, we just have done a few things, it's 9 o'clock already, so look and maybe move it up, but then I know I had a brief conversation just, before we got in here with Salem, and he said he couldn't do much before, so
Yeah, we've got kids, it's good, so I work till 6. Lucy gets back from karate at 6, then we have dinner till 6:15, and I rush over here.
so
Understandable.
that'll put that to bed. Is anybody interested in doing from basically June to the end of August? I think it incorporates 1 week in May and 1 week in September, doing,
Yeah, when we sat down, we looked at Memorial Day, Memorial Day's the 27th, so after that you would meet, then you would have an off, and then you would meet, and then you would have an off. Then we talked about 5 Mondays in July, but that first Monday in July is 4th of July, and a lot of people are gone. I get a skeleton crew here. I mean, most everybody takes those first 2 weeks in July, so that's why there's an extra. And then, so then we hop to the 8th and the 22nd. I think I sent it all to you. And that's what we kind of tossed around, knowing that we reserve the right to meet any time, which we're gonna meet a couple more times. That would get, I mean, Benji goes to family in August, so it was kind of, then you're not missing 2 or 3 meetings.
we wouldn't call anything, I wouldn't vision anyway, calling anything meeting or work session, it would be a meeting, we call it a meeting, we wouldn't have
Yeah, I was
a work
thinking of a
session with
meeting.
no public comment, it'd be all meetings of the
Right.
public comment.
Right.
So as far as the public involvement, it would be any different for them
No,
than it's always been. It's just if you guys thought we could handle the department head items,
if you had hires or emergencies, we've met before.
we'd always come in and do it for. I'm for it, I don't really see every week as late as it's been, I don't think we've done any more than when it was, you had a specific agenda. I think we need to have, go back kind of having a very specific agenda and trying to stick to it, and maybe won't rewrite every policy in town this summer, but we went down that rabbit hole and it wasn't that productive anyway, because we realized that a lot of stuff was pretty well thought out by others and just needed dates, names changed in the letterhead,
Yep.
Certainly some we do need to work on, but,
Yeah, there's a lot for, not a lot, but there are a few for fire that are gonna need to be
Yeah.
updated, as an example.
yeah, sure.
I like the idea. I think the few times that we have taken a week off, it feels different coming back after 2 weeks. Like, there's something about being able to step away, do my day job for a while, come back. And if we, I talked a little bit earlier about, how can we speed up, not the 3-4 week writing process. And I think if we had fewer meetings, but had more efficient time in between meetings, then I don't think we'd lose a whole lot of progress.
No, and I think if we did have a couple policies, or we wanted to open a couple years' worth of minutes, we could post that and have just that, and wouldn't have, department heads wanting to be sneaky, and we could pick a Monday here or there. Anybody else's thoughts? How about down this end table?
I like the idea of having some days off. I'm not gonna complain about that. So, I do think the week that I did take off, I did come back feeling like, oh my gosh, I actually, felt okay. I can imagine what you guys felt. You've been doing it all year, so I'd only been doing it 6 months, so.
Do we need to do June? I mean, June's kind of starting the vacation, but not really. I would suggest we stick through June, then we can do every other July and August. Because then we just start out, first of July is the 4th. We have that one off.
When is tax crunch time?
When's what?
Tax crunch time?
They're due July 1st.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing that came to mind about June. That, we didn't even have to get involved this past year, but if anything came up, probably be that.
No, and I don't know, I don't have kids in school, I have no idea when school session gets out either, so. Late?
Well, I don't know, someone told me graduation is the 15th of June.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Usually school goes 1 week past graduation.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's up to all you. I got a kid graduating, and we'll have family out from Montana and Wyoming, but I don't need to, will go just fine without me for a week, so that's up to you guys. Just something we tossed around, try to give a 3-month vacation, and I don't want anybody to think that we don't care out there and trying to get out of work either. If something comes up, will, and you'll be in, public will be invited to every one of them for public comment, and shouldn't exclude the public any at all, be any different, I don't think, but want to shorten up a month, that's fine by me, whatever, take what you get, I guess.
I liked
take
it
a-
as proposed.
Uh-huh.
I liked it as proposed.
Kind of keeps it simple, Memorial Day through Labor Day. That's summer.
You have opinion one or the other?
I just work.
Question-
I don't go anywhere.
It's hot. Yeah.
I'm usually the one that's cold, and I can't imagine you sitting there like that, so, with your sweatshirt on, sorry.
Do you feel real strongly about it, David, or?
Nope.
No? And if you have, I don't want to make you think that we don't
No, it's just
recognize your opinion.
the 2 weeks, there's a couple of 2 weeks off in a row, isn't there? The 24th.
Yeah, and we may have to squeeze something in at
19th,
another
5th.
time for that anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what we've done over
Well,
like
you've got the bridge
Christmas
going on
holiday.
too, so we may have had to squeeze another day of the
We
week.
met on the
you know.
Wednesday in between those two,
Yeah.
We could do that, I suppose.
if we
You had
needed to.
Sure,
Yeah.
yeah, that's, as I said, you always reserve the right to meet. We're gonna meet again.
Yeah. And
We're certainly not gonna put something like the bridge on hold just because we
No,
don't
no,
have
no,
a
that's,
meeting.
right, if we need to meet, we would meet.
No, and we did Wednesday because those 2 days were holidays.
Right.
That's something we really need a
Christmas
motion
and-
for, or no?
I mean, if you wanna just, we can tentatively agree to that, and if things change, we are always change, you know,
Motion
it's not a big
item,
deal, no.
Okay, well, let's
So
tentatively,
6:30 start time, and then kinda leave it right now tentative to
Yep.
what's that, okay?
There is a policy that has our start time in there at I think 5:30. So, probably hasn't been updated since 1986, so.
That's,
I'll be glad to take a stab at updating that, and if you guys are okay, I'd like to add, would we fulfill a vacancy should one come up about for this board? Add that
Yeah.
into that?
sure,
Okay. I will bring you a draft.
yes. Well, that brings us down to the last item, Select a chair and a vice chair, and then I think, my opinion, after those two positions, then we'll divvy up the
Here, boards.
the boards. I don't care which one we do first. I guess all I would, I did do, planning this year. It is interesting to me, 'cause a lot of it has to do with roads and stuff, but that's half again as many meetings as this, and I just don't have time to fairly commit another 25 meetings a year. And that's if you don't have sidewalks, so I did go as often as I could, but I feel like if someone else thought they had the time to attend all of them, I missed a good share of them in July and August last year, and I probably will this year, so,
Yeah.
that's all I would, like I said, we can do that before or after chair, vice chair, and I don't have the list in front of me, but, what do
Well,
we-
we've got planning, we have park, what else? SIP,
CIP.
CIP, then there's a
CIP.
stone fund that meets annually. We always had fifth, which goes to what David talked about. Agricultural Commission was one that was always took a board member, but we haven't had an agricultural commission in a long time. That's one that's not, the other one that comes to mind that's not is economic development. It's not another committee that's not
Yeah.
functioning.
Well, I know it's not a ex officio per se, but I think I heard Andy say earlier he'd be open to more communication, so maybe we can appoint a liaison to help with that, with the Conservation Commission specifically.
Because you have an ex officio is a, I know the charter says
Yeah, by
select,
default in Hemlock Drive, our bylaws,
You just removed.
which we just updated at our annual meeting last week, to better reflect the state statute on conservation commissions. There's no provision for ex officio member involvement for conservation commissions. I know some towns in state do that, but one of our goals is to tighten things up and be closer and more cognizant of just, where the roles and responsibilities come from for a conservation commission. That said, it would be excellent to have an interested selectman attend our meetings, join in the discussion, wouldn't have a voting role, but informational, I would welcome that.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Andy, you're talking about making it like an alternate member, just,
No member status.
okay, because you do have room for a couple more alternates.
Right, and then RSA 36A absolutely establishes alternates as an option for a conservation commission.
Sure.
But it just doesn't leave the door open for, in its description of membership, and it's, it just doesn't leave the door open for a voting ex officio, be it, if there's, it's not just a question of there being a full board, it's a question of enabling legislation and just sticking with that.
I guess with that, I'll just put out two that I'm interested in. Obviously, everybody jumps at the one, and I don't mind doing the CIP if nobody else is interested. If somebody is, then that's fine too. I'm familiar with the process. I personally would mind passing the wand off on planning just because it's a larger commitment.
Yeah, I don't mind any of them, but, I don't mind returning to park. I am interested in some kind of rotation, just to kind of learn more throughout town. I think the natural one would be planning, but it is a busy one.
Yeah, and I think we should also appoint to that an alternate, because the only person that can sit in for an ex officio is an ex officio.
Yeah, that's true.
So, for that one, given the number of meetings that they have, I would recommend that we also get an alternate.
That's a good point.
All right, well, Joe, let's just jump on that one since we keep talking about it. Is there someone that's interested in being the ex officio? Or to start with for the planning board?
Sure.
Is there some,
Unless Janice is about to say yes.
I'll pretty much do anything, so.
Did you say yes to plan?
Sure.
Okay.
is there someone interested in being the
The alternate?
alternate Swish like Janice suggested? I think it's a good idea.
I'd be glad to.
There, that was done. How about Parks and Rec?
I could sit down on those meetings,
Okay.
for the most part. Where do they meet?
Tuesdays,
Tues-
second Tuesday? 7
Second
o'clock.
Tuesday.
Yeah, Tuesdays will be fine.
Except this week.
Except they're gonna meet Wednesday this week.
Yes, thank you. I had it in my notes. Bring that up, I would have forgotten. Thank you.
CIP is generally done in the morning.
Yeah.
It's Wednesday mornings.
I don't mind it because I have an interest, but I'd have to take a couple hours vacation, which I don't mind. So if somebody has a huge interest, fine, but if not, I don't mind doing it. I do have a big interest in
I
it.
can either do that or the conservation.
Do you have an interest in something, David?
I'll probably take conservation.
Huh?
CIP?
That's up to Janice.
I can meet during the day.
That'd be easier, and if I could get off, it's allowed for two of us to be
welcome to-
there.
you're
Yeah, as
welcome
long
to
as there's
come.
not three, because I
Yeah.
don't post a meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you want CIP?
Yeah.
I did come for one this year, I think.
So you want the Stone Fund then? That's a one annual meeting.
I hate being the cheapskate, but it's not work this year.
Dibs next year.
Yeah, all right, good
They
enough.
meet once a year at the end of the year.
You'll have to remind me or I'll forget that one.
You can do that.
You know me.
Okay, so I wrote down planning is Salem, I'm the alternate, park is James, SIP is me, Stone Fund Benji, conservation liaison, not an ex officio, David.
Yep.
Liaison.
Sounds good.
The only thing I'd add to that is, David, we'd welcome you to the table. If you'd rather be in the audience for your purposes, that's fine, but, you know,
All right.
just be glad to have you at the table and recognize your special role. So, thank you.
Yeah, definitely think if you don't mind sitting here, look good at the table.
What's that?
I said I definitely think if you don't mind sitting at the table, it'd look good.
Yeah, I don't mind.
That leaves us to the selection of the chair and vice chair. I was vice chair last year. I don't care one way or the other. I don't mind doing chair or vice chair. I don't mind sitting at the end of the table. So why don't we take a motion to select the chair, and then we'll do the vice chair second. So anybody got someone they'd like to nominate for chair?
I would like to nominate Janice if she'll do the work
For chair,
for chair.
I would do the work.
That is, nothing against you at all. It's more of a time available. I think we learned, especially towards the end of last year, there's a lot more than just running the meetings.
Yep.
And, yeah, I think there's a lot to it.
Yeah.
Do we take a vote?
You want to second that?
I'll second that.
Okay.
All right. All in favor of Janice be chair?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. You want to
Sure.
scoot here for the last one, or do you want to do the last one?
Are you gonna abstain or are you gonna vote?
I'll abstain.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's- yeah.
So we don't have to move our binders all around. I'll take the one last, before we adjourn. Janice can adjourn, but, how about vice chair?
I'll nominate Benji. We'll do it.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 Abstain? All right. Janice?
All good? Think we're done for the day?
Yep.
Okay.
So do we have a meeting, non-meeting, or I guess,
She's gonna
what's the
schedule
time
it.
frame? Like a month, within the next couple of weeks? I just don't want to lose sight of the
I
non-meeting.
have
with-
to, I have to ask, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, as soon as possible.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to do.
Great.
Okay.
So I'm gonna have to make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to adjourn at
Can I
9:06.
just- One more thing.
Yeah, sorry, of course.
We did mention possibly entertaining public comment at every meeting. Did we want to vote on that, or?
For what's that?
Public comment
For
at
having
every
public
meeting.
comment at every meeting?
I think like the schedule, because the chair sets the agenda, that would just be, don't think it would be a motion.
Okay,
just
it's
be
just
part of the
schedule
agenda.
itself, okay.
Oh, okay. Make a motion to adjourn at 9:07.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Have a good night, everyone. It gets better.
Does?
It does.